Good morning. It is a great morning. It's a fantastic morning. Welcome to another episode of the Life Roast. I'm John. This is T. And what we do here is we like to take a little peek outside of the box. We like to get a little uncomfortable, have some uncomfortable conversations that people don't normally have, and challenge some social norms. And in today's case, maybe a cultural, societal norm. Today is going to definitely be one of those episodes that might get a little heated, but it's going to be good because it's one of those topics that we have discussed back and forth. We weren't originally going to do it, but now we are doing it because it's something that is prevalent in our society. And we feel like we should explore this because it's a pretty important topic, and it is DEI. And I almost feel like just saying that word, those initials, that I'm going to get some kind of outcry towards me for even just bringing this whole thing up, right? And it's ridiculous because I want to go into this with an open mind because this is something that I honestly didn't even hear about this topic. Like, this hasn't been something that's been brought to my attention. I've been out of the corporate world for a while. So this is one of those things that I didn't really even understand up until the last couple of months, but apparently it's been a thing that's been implemented for a while now. So it's been really interesting for me to dive into this. T's got a little bit more experience with this. So we're going to dive into this even deeper, having that experience. I got a bunch of stats here that I'm about to counter everything that you say. So we can, I'm going to fire him up this episode. It's going to be a good time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and real quick, I have a definition here. I don't know if it's the accurate definition or whatever. I found this on Google. But DEI, just so we know, is a term used to describe policies and programs that promote the representation and participation of different groups of individuals, age, race, ethnicity, ability, disability, gender, religion, cultures, and sexual orientation. It is a concept and practice used by organizations to recognize and value differences among people, ensure fair opportunities for everyone, and foster a work environment where all feel welcome and respected. So, I ask you, what do you think about this whole thing? Where are you at?
That just sounded like a human resources brochure. Listen, here's what goes on in the world. We have this new concept, or I shouldn't say it's new. It's been around for a couple of years. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I get it. When you listen to the words, they all sound fantastic. But where I look at this movement, this religion, we'll call it, conceptually, love it. Really, really looking out for everyone, trying to create a camaraderie, a team, or whatever. We should all live to want to be in a society where it's diverse and equitable, and we include everyone. But let's just get into the idea here is this behind DEI. Let's make sure that every company, every organization, every whatever has enough of everyone to show that we're diverse. Meaning, I have enough women on the workforce compared to men. Or for that matter, in this day and age, a bunch of non-binaries and all the other crap that people call each other now. I should have enough black and whites and Indians and Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and every ethnicity out there. I should have gay. I should have bisexual. I should have. It's like, holy shit! Like, how diverse do we have to get? How much inclusion do we have to get? And is it inclusion because we're just happy-go-lucky, or is it inclusion because I have to meet a quota? And I think that's where DEI goes off the rails a little bit. And it says, okay, I like the concept and the wording, but are we hiring people because they fit a category, but they may or may not fit the expertise, the background, the knowledge, the stick-to-itiveness to get the job done? Like, which one is it? Or is that what the goal is here? Is it really to just create quotas of teams of people to walk in the door and go, man, you guys are diverse. Like, holy shit, look, you got 9 white guys and you got 9 black guys and you got 9 Mexicans. Oh, there's 9 gay guys. Oh, 9 lesbians. Like, is there a factor in there, or is this what we do? We just make sure we have everyone included.
Well, and that's one of the conversations that we have a lot. And one of the things about having businesses and seeing businesses and stuff like that is like, we're always talking about qualifications, right? And for me, what I see a lot, and this is, I try to pay attention to both sides of this. I really do. I try, because again, I'm new to this whole concept. I try not to go into it completely biased. And so I see it and I'm like, yeah, in an idealistic world, we all just exist. Right. Like we are diverse. And that's what like kind of gets me about this whole topic. It's like, why? I thought we were past all this, right? Like as a society, I thought we were past, like there was a whole movement that said, okay, like we're done with this whole diversion, segregation. Yes. Thank you for the word. Segregation thing, right? We're done with this white, black, guy, girl, all these things. We've had those movements. We've been past this. Why are we still on this train of now re-sparking this fire that I thought we put out? And don't get me wrong. I know sexism and racism and xenophobia still exist. I'm not naive to that, right? But as far as corporations go, like, why is this even an issue to begin with? Shouldn't we just be hiring people purely for their qualifications, overlooking their skin color, their gender, their identification, whatever it is? Like, isn't that why do we place so much more emphasis on meeting a quota? And technically quotas, I'm pretty sure in this instance aren't necessarily legal from my understanding, but they still exist. We're not stupid to the whole fact that they still have the idea that they want X amount of people in there that are diverse. But why are we shining such a spotlight on this, right? If I go into a company, yeah, of course, I want to see people like me. I like people like me. People like them, right?
Right.
Totally get it. But the fact that a company would totally overlook qualifications purely based on having a diverse group of people, in my mind, as a business person, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? And I got some stats here that'll totally contradict what I'm saying, right? I mean, this will say, let's see, DEI training. Oh no, that's the wrong one. That's the other side. Inclusive companies are 1.7 times more likely to be innovative and draw 2.3 more cash flow per employee. Okay, there's articles that say 62% of workers say DEI is an important factor in the company's success. There's stats here that show that 89% of people want their company to be inclusive of people with intellectual disabilities. Okay. And stuff like that. Like, okay, I try not to like bias against people with intellectual disabilities, but we mentioned this before we even started talking. If you can't learn certain things that are required for the job, why would I hire you? It's not a personal attack. If I'm looking for somebody who has a certain set of skills, who speaks a certain language, who meets the qualifications of the job, why do I need to hire you if you only meet one of 5 of those? Because that's what I have a hard time understanding. Like, why am I hiring you?
Right.
If you don't meet the qualifications?
I don't know. I think the part on all this, and again, I'm not against the DEI from the standpoint of the wording and what's going on. A good business should be diverse because you get different mindsets. A man and a woman will think differently just based on their upbringing and what they're doing. And sometimes in a man-driven business, a female brings a nice change. And I don't mean that from a physical, but more from an overall. And people will jump all over me about this and stereotype women, and it's like, Jesus, you can't even speak today. A woman has more of an endearing quality about her and will think in a compassionate manner. Yes, there are women that are diehard and cutthroat and just want to get to the deal.
Right. Well, that's
But bringing that compassion to it is like, okay, a man-driven business is, and let's plow forward and hurry up and get it done. So from that diversity, yeah, that's a business move. That's okay, we need to change the culture of our business because we're too ego testosterone driven. So let's bring females in here and do that, or whatever the changes. And we made the joke earlier, like, I need to hire someone that speaks Spanish because we have a lot of Spanish speaking customers or clients. And so would I go out and hire someone that doesn't know how to speak Spanish? Would I go out and hire, Tom from Nebraska, who's never even met someone that speaks Spanish? He's never even taken a course in it, but Tom's a really great person. And you know what? We don't have any white men from Nebraska. No, Tom doesn't speak Spanish. Is he not qualified? He's absolutely not qualified. But if Tom was, let's say, a black female, we'll give Tom a different name. In this day and age, I guess it could be too. But the idea here is that am I discriminating against the black female? No, she doesn't speak Spanish. The job qualifies, or the one qualification is you must speak Spanish fluent to speak to our clients. So we're looking at this DEI level to say, okay, I need to include people. But where I go from a business consultant coach is we have an objective. We have a finish line. We have a destination. We have all these things. We have a time frame to get there. I'm going to get everyone on the team gathered up. We're all going to have our different missions and we're going to roll out and we're going to get shit done. Am I building this team with the most qualified people who know how to execute? Or am I building this team with the fact that if I put a brochure out there, we have all of the different flavors and demographics and genders and all of that people would say, wow, we are diverse and we are equitable and man, are we inclusive. Most people would say I need to build a company that gets me to my mission. But society is saying, the news is saying, the media is saying, you can get canceled. I mean, I'm sure if I'm trying to toe the line here because of the cancel concept here is, are some of my clients going to look and say, T, that was over the top, but we can't work with you. That's a pretty scary thought that we're having words. And because I'm speaking not against or for, probably more against the whole DEI thing, that I have to worry that someone's going to say, you can't talk like that.
That is the exact part of this that drives me crazy. We talk about it all the time. I don't really care. Okay. If your company wants to focus on this, go for it. I think it's great. All the more power to you, right? If you think you need a quota and having more diversity and following these stats is the way to go, that's fine. My problem is when we have conversations like this and we're talking about things and we might potentially be speaking out against stuff like this, automatically people are like, no, you're wrong. You're a horrible person. You're a racist. You're a xenophobe. You're all these things. It goes back to like the whole easily offended and triggered thing, right? Constantly keeps coming back to that stuff. It's like, why can't we just have an open discussion about this stuff? Okay. And the reality is, yeah, most business owners who want to succeed are going to pick qualifications over anything else. A really good leader isn't going to care what color you are. A really good leader isn't going to care what gender you are. They're not going to care what country you came from, right? They're only going to care what language you speak if it matters to what the customers and clientele and people that you're talking to, right? And the good leaders are going to be like, okay, if you're black, gay, straight, whatever, I'm going to hire you because you're the best person for this job. They're not going to discriminate, period. And so the fact that we even have to talk about it, right? Like good leaders are going to succeed. Bad leaders who are like, no, I'm not going to hire you because you're black. No, I'm not going to hire you because you're gay, right? I'm not going to say that, but that's what I'm going to do, right? Those businesses are probably going to fail anyways, right? That stuff doesn't stick around long anymore, right? The companies that are all male and don't allow females to come in, they're eventually probably going to run to the ground, right? Just because of that mindset, that whole front. And so like the fact that we even have to bring these policies in, I think is just totally ridiculous from that standpoint. And this goes to my thing is standards and lowering the standards just so everybody can achieve, right? Just so everybody can feel a part of, right? And in my mind, part of this is having these policies in place is a cop-out, right? If I am a minority, I'd feel almost cheated, right? And hear me out, right? I'd feel like I don't have to learn more. I don't have to grow more. I don't have to be the best. I can just slide in because they have to accept me. And if they don't, then I can complain to HR about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that sucks because it's like if I'm open to anybody and everybody, but I want people in my company who want to be better, who want to be the best at what they do, right? And honestly, sometimes from my perspective is if a female comes into a male-driven company and she wants to shine, she has to do what? Bust her ass and be the best person in that organization.
Yep.
Right? Or else she's going to get pushed to the wayside. And I feel like
let me cut you off there. What if she doesn't?
What if she doesn't what?
What if she doesn't shine? What if she just comes in and is mediocre at her job? There's 100 employees, 97 of them are men. Sally is she's the office administrator. There's another lady that works in the back, and I'm not trying to demote any level here. Again, every fucking thing I say, I got to watch. And then this new lady shows up, and she's I don't know. She's a manager. She's a director. Let's say a director. She comes from another company. She got really talented, and she shows up and she sucks. Now what?
Now what? What do you
do with her?
If she sucks at her job?
Yeah.
Fire her?
Sure.
I don't know.
But can you?
Am I in charge?
Can you fire her?
I'm pretty sure I can.
No, I know you can, but in today's society, the first thing and this is the world I play in is okay. It's that I call it the shining resume. The resume is the greatest thing about you. And then you show up and you can talk the talk for a little while, and then the truth comes out, and it's like, wow, your resume really fluffed up your capabilities. And this is male and female.
For sure.
But in this situation, you find out, okay, she's really not qualified for her position, and she's not good with people. And, as a director, she needs to lead the team and she needs to do all this. She sucks. But guess what we can't do? Can't fire her because all the lawyers are sitting on the sidelines like, go ahead, I dare you. and this is not only a DEI thing. This has been going on for a while now. It completely flipped the switch here where we weren't including. Now we are including to a point where you can't get rid of because it's like DEI, as much as it was supposed to help diversify and do all the stuff that it's now turned this game into, if you don't follow suit, you're in deep shit. And when you do hire people and they suck, again, regardless, I don't give a shit if it's a male or female. You can't fire them because someone has something they're holding on to, like a man. I'm going to fire him. Well, he's 51 years old. You're discriminating against his age. Like, no, I'm not. He sucks. Like, okay, now I have an age issue. Like, okay, all right. So what do? We let him stay because a lawsuit's not worth it. We don't want another insurance payout. We don't want any of this stuff.
Well, and that's part of this that sucks too, because most of the time, like let's be real, if you go to court with a lot of those cases, the corporations tend to win in certain situations, right? Like there's a lot of frivolous lawsuits that people play. Well, they don't want to go to court, so they're going to settle.
Actually, I'll cut you.
Okay, no, go ahead.
10%, and I only know this from one of my multiple careers. 10% of lawsuits go to trial. That means 90% either stop or settle.
So that's what I'm getting at, right? Companies don't want to go to trial because they're being accused of being sexist, racist, or whatever. So they settle or they negotiate, whatever it ends up being. Most of them probably settle because they don't want that
Someone publicity. Gets a payday.
Right? And so that's the game that they play. It's not, if they went to trial, again, most of them would probably lose. But the fact that that's even the case, if somebody is not qualified for the job, it doesn't make any sense. Right? Do you want, I think about Family Guy here, and I'm just going to bring up a ridiculous thing, right? In Family Guy, Joe is handicapped and he's a cop, right? And that sucks, right? But why do you want the people protecting you physically incapable of protecting you? Just because, well, he's disabled. We have to keep him on the force. If we fired him, it'd be whatever. It's like, but why?
Right.
I'm not saying that I hate disabled people. I'm not saying that I hate women, that I hate black people, that I hate Mexicans, any of this stuff because I fire them. I'm saying they're not qualified for the job. And automatically people are like, no, that's offensive. You can't do that. That's wrong.
Right.
Like that's it. I look at, the funny story that happened recently. There was an assassination attempt on Trump. It's not funny that it happened, but a lot of the attention has been going towards that female Secret Service agent.
Sure.
And everybody on the media is calling it like a DEI hire kind of thing, right? They're running around, have no idea what they're doing. And this is the point that I'm trying to make is when we look at positions, it's much more easy to see when you're looking at the police force, when you're looking at the military, when you're looking at all these places that have to have physical capabilities. They're demanded of them for the job. And we're just allowing people to fill them for what reason?
Right.
Right. And it's like when my life's on the line, I want the person that is absolutely most qualified. A business, cool, money comes and money goes, right? My business fails, my business rises, whatever it is. But we're putting like lives at stake because of this stuff now.
Right. But I will say this, and it's funny how your mind spins. The whole Secret Service thing and the president and blah, 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 blah. You know what? The media uses things to blow things out of proportion. I would sit there and watch and say, okay, we can claim DEI. Okay, they put a bunch of women on the stage and they did whatever, but they've trained a million times over for situations like this, and they're supposed to be, ready and willing. I don't give a flying fuck who you are. If all of a sudden bullets start ripping, your body doesn't react the same way. Your mind goes into, yes, you should be trained. I get it. And you should go into the automatic train mode. So, that we focused on that young woman, but the guys were fumbling around too.
That's fair.
If you watch the video, and again, I'm not defending it from a DEI standpoint. It's kind of like we just went there. That's politics, and that's the media. Like, okay, let's really point out how inept these people were. Oh, it's DEI. Like, I bet you if, we pulled that lady's, I would pray for her that if we pulled her resume and her scorecard or whatever it may be, she may be top of her class. She may have been freaking amazing. She can kick the shit out of dudes in training camp. I mean, I would rather put her on a pedestal first than say, well, you're a woman and you suck up there. And God, what were they thinking putting a woman up there? That's the opposite side of this. Like, stop jumping all over. Okay, now you're saying, okay, she can't do the job. I think she can do the job. But if I said, okay, there were 50 candidates to choose and the bottom 3 were 2 dudes and then her, and I'm not saying this, but if those are my candidates, then she should have never been up there. And those 2 other dudes, white dudes, shouldn't have been up there either because they didn't qualify. They sucked. If she was at the top of her 50 candidates, she should be the first one up there. Now start shooting at her, different world. So that's my soapbox there. The part I think, and I think I heard this on a Joe Rogan podcast. I listen to so many, I don't remember which one. Imagine if we made the NFL or the NBA or any sport and said, okay, you need DEI. Like, so we're going to need you to mix this up right now. And the NBA is predominantly black. So we're going to need you to get more Chinese people. We're going to need more gay people on there. And, rather than having an all men's league, it should be a co-ed league. Might as well just fold the NBA now. Fold the NFL. Like, why is it that in certain aspects of what we push out to the world, is it okay to not have diversity and equality and inclusiveness? But then in corporate America or in just on the media, we have to include everyone. Like, come on, one or the other.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like we pick and choose. And you brought up a really good point in this, and it's the media, right? And I wasn't trying to attack anybody. It's the fact that when stuff like that happens, we immediately go to DEI. At least on one side, of it, right? Everyone's like DEI, right? That's why they hired her, all that stuff, right? And the other side's like, no, she was hired because we looked at her resume and all this stuff, right? And then in sports, we're like, no DEI, and in this, we're in like DEI, and we're, like we pick and choose which areas to do this in, and it's all the same, really. Like a sports team, I always relate business to a sports team, right? When you are hiring candidates, you're doing the same thing as an elimination process with putting your starting five together.
Sure.
Right? You're doing the exact same thing. Who's the most qualified to be on the court? Who's the most qualified to be on the field? Who's first string, second string, third string? Who didn't make the cut? Right? It's the same thing with a business. Basketball is a good example, right? It's predominantly black males, right? I don't see a bunch of white guys sitting around and complaining about that, because we know that the NBA hires the best of the best to play on their teams. And I'm totally okay with that. Right? That's how it should be. It's not because they are black. It's because they're really good at what they do. Right. I was trying to, and that is awesome. And that's what most business people do, And so, I would be on the side of, I would like to believe that when they hired this person, they were hiring the best candidate they possibly could have, regardless of the reason. And everything else after that is just speculation and the media trying to twist everything. Sure. And I think that's where this whole thing got brought up, right? It's just the media playing their whole narrative thing and trying to get us to come together and fight about one more thing, and who's included and who's not included, and what else can we complain about and get people to fight over. I don't know.
I mean, that's, I take a strong position on, because what I do is I work with companies, find the holes, find the gaps that are making them fail, and we try and fix them. Plain and simple. Most of the issues that I see are people issues. Yes, we have process issues, and yes, there are product issues, and yes, there's all the parts of what I do, but it comes down to people. People. No different than an NBA team is going to say, okay, you are on the starting five. You were awesome at one point, but age has caught up to you. Your jump shot just isn't as effective anymore. You can't get up and down the court as fast anymore. Like the league is passing you by. You've lost a step. Is that discriminating because you've gotten older? Or is it that you can't meet the standards of the game anymore? And when I go into these businesses, I look at things and I say, okay, my goal is not to fire anyone. My goal is to say, okay, let's look at the process and say, maybe it's that jacked up that if we streamline it, everyone fits in line and boom, this works. But 9 times out of 10, it comes down to, there are individuals that are at this company that just can't do what they said they can do. There's a term called the Peter principle. They've literally been elevated to a level of incompetency, meaning they've been promoted throughout the business, and then they finally reach a director or a VP level where they have no clue what they're doing. And it's kind of like, you look at them like, how the hell did you get to vice president? Like, I don't get it. Now, again, I don't look at the color. I don't look at the gender or whatever, but in this case, it's usually white males. And it's where you're watching and you're like, oh my goodness, like, I can see how you made it to this level, but why are you consistently staying at this level? Because every time they've asked you to do something, you fail. And then you look and you think, oh, because he's in age. So now what do? We've raised him to a level where we can't get rid of him, or we can't move him into a different position, or we can't demote him. Which is one of the first things I say is demote him. Don't give him that leadership role. But again, DEI is taking over now, and now it's creating these things of where you're not allowed to do things, because that would show you as a business that discriminates, like discriminates against
poor performance.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And even to the point where I've watched some of these businesses where and it's funny you say poor performance. And some of you people have been in this situation where you get to the end of the year and you have your performance review, and they can't give you a good, and you've been out of the corporate world, they can't give you a good rating. Like, meaning you're great. You get on a scale of 1 to 10, you get a 9 or a 10, because there's only a certain quota of people that can get a 9 or a 10, because they'll deserve the biggest bonus. So it says, okay, yeah, I know it's the stupidest thing. And I thought maybe it was just one company, but because I work with so many different companies, I see it everywhere. Like, everyone, they want to corral them into the average. Okay, you get a 3% raise, or you get a 3% bonus, or whatever it is. But those stellar folks, like, When I say you have to be stellar, it's like out of the box, like holy shiny, like you are gleaming with stellar. If you're just shy of what they consider stellar, it's like you're back in the average group. But here's the greatest part. No one falls in the less than. You cannot give someone a less than performance because that's demeaning. That's not right. We can't make them feel bad. So it's like you're either average or you're stellar, but somehow everyone gets corralled into the average. And God forbid we tell you suck and you need improvement. And managers will sit there and go, T, what do I do? I'm like, this is the corporate world that sucks. Like you roll with it because nothing I'm going to tell you is going to work. If they suck, they suck. And if the company's not willing to tell them they suck or fire them, I don't know what to tell you.
Let me take this a step further then real quick, because this is something that I've been hearing about too, as far as it getting into the schools. And two things. Can you imagine, first of all, them not being able to give somebody an F? Because like that, I say that now out loud, and I was like, I'm thinking like how ridiculous that sounded, but now I'm saying it, I'm like, that might not be too far off.
It's probably already happening. I can guarantee there's school systems out there.
And then I started hearing that you can't even fail a person in a grade anymore. They don't hold people back anymore.
No. Moving forward, it would hurt them mentally.
But like it doesn't, like you have to just include them in the grading process. Like it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And is that DEI? I don't know if that's DEI, but I think what DEI does is it
what's inclusion?
The American way, and this is where and I love it because I get to work all over the world with different people, and they are so excited to come to America because of the land of opportunity. And when they get here, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I am a racist against Americans. Lazy Americans.
I'm so glad you finished that sentence.
Against lazy Americans, because I have worked with so many DEI, if we're going to say DEI, diverse people from around the world. And they are so enthralled with getting the opportunity to be here in America that if I could clone them 50 times over, I would, because they not only were they amazing workers, but they were amazing people. And they were always like, 5 o'clock came and my Americans were already out the door. I mean, they already had their cards in their hand punching at 4:58, where all of my, and I'll call them foreigners, non-Americans that were working to get their visas and everything were at 5 o'clock still looking at me. No coats, no anything else. Is there anything else we can do? And it wasn't that they wanted to make more hours. They felt obligated to make sure that if I was still staying, they were still staying. And they were going to go the extra mile. And a lot of times they'd say, you don't have to pay us anymore. Like, no, that's not how this works. Everyone gets paid. Or in the middle of the day, when we were slow in one of the businesses I had, and we'd all be sitting around like waiting for the phone to ring, because that's the business it was. We were processing stuff. They would say, we're just going to go home, and you call us when you need us to come back, because we don't want you to pay us to sit around. Like, okay, can I have 10 more, please? So in that context, where I look at the land of opportunity, this DEI is saying, I'm going to give you a million excuses as to why you can't get fired, or why I can hire you and you don't have to be qualified for the job. And then once you're in, you're in. Because the lawyers are sitting in the background saying, go ahead, I dare you to fire. I dare you to fire him. Oh, I'm sorry, he's 56 years old? Sorry, that's age discrimination. Like, is it really? Or is it that he's realized he's in control?
I think we're on the fine line of what is it being able to address reality. Mm-hmm. And it's getting a little scary, to be honest, right? Like, right. And that's a good one with age, because that's an easy one. Like, if the job demands physically of you, which you cannot provide anymore, right? It's not an age thing. It's a fitness thing, right? There are people who live into their 60s and 70s who can perform tasks very well. If that was the case, I would keep them on, right? But just because somebody hit their 50s and wasn't taking care of themselves or whatever, and now they can't physically perform, I can't fire them because of age. And this is where I think we're like getting out of reality, is all I'm doing is addressing the performance issue. Everybody else is trying to label it.
Right.
We're trying to put some kind of illusion around it, saying that it's one thing or the other. And the reality is, all I'm saying is you can't perform at the level that we need you to anymore. If you want to help, if you want to come together and try to find another position that you fit in, cool. Let's do that. I'm not going to fire you just because you suck at one position, but I am going to call it out. You are not performing in this position anymore. That's just the reality of the situation. When do we start losing track of that to where I can't just point out obvious things anymore without being an asshole?
Right.
Where like automatically, like I'm offended you would even say that I suck at my job. I know I haven't done anything for the last 3 years. Literally, I take, 3 times as long during my breaks. I take extra time doing all this. I don't perform at the levels that you guys actually require, but I'm here. I show up. I'm here.
Right.
And when I'm not here, I call you 3 hours after I'm supposed to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't fire me, because if you did fire me, it wouldn't be for the real reason that you want to fire me. It'd be for some other made up story that I have to tell to make myself feel better, or so that I can make some money out of this and sue you, or so that I can bring down your company by giving you nasty publicity, or so that I can fit into this group over here of people who also lost their job because of whatever. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, can we just like dive back into reality, please? That's all. Right, that's all I really want.
There's a TV show. I have no idea what it's called. My wife loves watching it, and it's this kind of dating show where they put people in rooms and they talk to each other, but it's pitch black. Lights are off.
Yes.
And these people go on dates, they call it, or whatever. I don't know what the fuck they call it, but they're on dates where they never see each other. And they do this multiple times, 5, 6, 10 times, whatever it is. So you truly get to know the person, and it's you get to know their insides. Now you're talking. Now you're acclimating to who each other are. You're whatever, and you can see this fondness that's growing. We can see them because the camera can
the night vision or whatever
it is, but they can't see each other. And then they have the reveal, and it's unbelievable. The reactions. Some people are like, I don't care what the other person looks like. They're my soulmate. But you'll have and I'll make this up. I'm trying to remember what they were, but you'll have a biker dude. He's big. He's got a big burly beard. He's still got his leathers on, whatever the hell they're called. He's got his ears are pierced. Doesn't look like he's showered in 3 days, whatever. And then you have this little small, Chinese woman that's probably 4'8", 130 pounds soaking wet with 5-pound weights in her pocket. And they just hit it off in the dark. Then they show them to each other, and it's like, oh my God, not what I expected. Here's this little Chinese woman staring at this big burly biker dude. Like on the street, they would be afraid. She would be afraid of him. Mm-hmm. And on the street, maybe he would look at her and be like, oh, like, whatever, a little tiny woman. And I bring that up because then they see the physical appearance and there's either an attraction or there's not. Is that wrong? I don't know that it's wrong, but I would still say, okay, you want to do DEI at work? All interviews are done in dark.
Yes.
Pitch black. So if you want to do a Teams call, do a Teams call. Turn off the cameras. We're going to have 2 interviews. We're going to have a camera call and we're going to have a non-camera call. First one's a non-camera call. I want to hear your qualifications. I want to hear your voice. How do you answer the questions? It's strictly about the job.
Yeah, but you can still hear gender in the voice.
Well,
I'm just saying.
You can avoid it all. Or, we'll put one of them.
Do the little robotic voice. Yeah.
But my point is, at some point, there has to be a physical match. There has to be some type of thing. Is it discrimination? Is someone going to disvalue what they just learned? It's kind of like, you get to know a person, what do they say, in the first 10 seconds that you meet them. Part of that is a physical review, and again, it's not an attraction from, I want to jump this person, but it's I understand, okay, I say who they are. If they're grossly obese, is it a genetic issue, or is it that they don't take care of themselves, or that they're lazy, or they're like, all these things run through our head. But should that be a deterrent to hire them?
Look, you're getting into some like deep, heavy stuff here because
That's what I do.
No, that's great because I look at stuff like that and I'm like, we talk about physical attraction and we talk about preferences. And I feel like this kind of topic is one of those things where like, we're just trying to force people to think certain ways, right? And we're trying to force you to be inclusive and diverse and like people that you might otherwise not like, or we're trying to get rid of, everyone's so judgmental. I'm like, yeah, but I think we group people who are discerning into the same category where it's like, okay, if I was looking for, I'm married, I'm happily married, I'm good with my wife. I'm just saying, like, if I was dating again and I had certain
Sorry, dog's barking.
Physical preferences, to not meet those preferences, I'm not judging other people doing so. I just know what I like and what I don't like.
Right.
What is so wrong about that? And I feel like we're telling people like, no, if you don't think like everybody else, if you don't see everybody like everybody else, you're wrong. Right. And here's, I absolutely fucking hate racism. Mm-hmm. I think it is the stupidest thing. I think like you have to have a really low IQ to be a racist. Right.
Oh yeah.
But if somebody is racist, guess what I don't do? I don't talk to them. I won't hire them. I won't hang around with them. That's it. Right. I'm not going to sit here and try to force them to think like I do. I'm going to let them have the same ability to think freely as I do. Right. Because that is their right as a human being. I think you're fucking stupid, but that's for me to discern in my own life. Right. And I think we're trying to force people out of that. And I don't think that's the way to go about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It shouldn't be this forced thing. And like I went back to in the beginning, it's like, if a company is based in a culture that is exclusive and they're not allowing diversity in for whatever reason, if it's to maintain the standard of the job, that's one thing. But if they're doing it simply to keep people out, they're probably going to fail. And it's the same thing with all these other people. They're going to fail.
Sure.
Right? Racists don't belong in society anymore. Right? They're going to fail. They're going to put themselves out. Right? And we're not allowing that process to happen. We're trying to shove it down their throats. And I think that's creating even worse relations between human beings on a certain plane of existence with each other. And it's just like, just let people be who they are. If I don't want to date some tiny little Chinese girl because I'm a big burly biker guy, and that's just not like, why does that matter so much to people who aren't affected by this whole thing?
I get it.
And I'm not saying it's okay, but it's not my life.
But let me ask you this. Are there certain individuals that you would look at and say, yep, not hiring them?
I don't know, man. So I'm a personal trainer. That's one of my things. That's one of the things I do. If I was going to hire another trainer, I probably would not hire an obese person.
Why not? They may know the business.
I know they may know the business, right? But that's just
experts
not.
At the
but
business.
that's how they could be, right? I don't expect my surgeon to have had surgery, but when I go to the doctor's office and he's telling me to eat better and he's telling me to work out and he's obese and he goes out on cigarette breaks all the time, I'm not listening to him. I'm going to find another doctor.
Right. Which I totally respect.
But that's not. I'm not fat phobic. I don't think
where I'm going with this though is, again, the racist card is the racist card. I'm furthest far from that. But I will tell you, there are things that when I look at people, it is a complete turnoff. And I don't even mean from an attraction standpoint, from just I physically don't want to, it's probably not that, be around you because I don't give a shit about that. Like, I'll give you two. Face piercings and face tattoos. Now, I freaking think tattoos are badass. I think they reflect people, the art, the artistry, and everything like that. But when you put them on your face, or you pierce the what is this, your septum or your whatever?
Yeah.
You pierce that, and you have this thing. I mean, this is a young person's game. They're doing it now. I'm watching older people are doing it too, and it just drives me up a fucking wall. Like, two hoops here, one in here. You got a stud in your face. You got this. I have a tattoo over here of something that, or a tattoo of, I made my eyebrows into a message. Like, I'm not hiring you. I'm not. And it has nothing to do with who you are. I physically can't have a conversation with you because I can't pay attention, because this mess is driving me nuts. Or this mess says I can't put you in front of a customer, because if I have these thoughts, someone else is going to have these thoughts. And people would say, I'm discriminating. Am I? Or am I allowed to just say, I'm sorry, no face tattoos or face piercings are allowed at my business? Like, I can't say that. Why not?
Well, that's the thing though. It's like, why is discrimination such the horrible thing that we make it out to be?
Right. It's not that it's discriminating. It's like there's a standard. If your standard is face piercings and face tattoos and 47 colors of hair, like, which by the way, I love people who color their hair. So I'm taking that one.
It's real. We've had this conversation. Yeah.
But my point is, like, you have a business that has to meet a standard, and that standard is being completely changed by allowing things in there because of what DEI says I have to. I can't discriminate because they have 7 face piercings. Like, why not?
Why not?
Why not? Because then when someone say, yeah, but what if they're black? What if they're an older man and they walk in and you know that, they're 61 years old, they're going to retire in 4 years, and you're looking for someone that wants to be with the company for the next 10 or 20. Like, do you not hire him? Like, well, no, I'm not hiring him because he's not going to be here in the next 4 years. Like, I'm going to invest 2 to 3 years of solid training and then he's going to retire. Is that discrimination? These are all the parts
Maybe it is. I
where
think
I
it's
ask
like
all these
wordplay
things.
at this point.
Right, it is wordplay, but those are the parts where it's like, oh my God, I have a business to run. I'm looking for the most qualified person. I'm looking for someone that I want to invest time, money, and energy that sits next to me that I know is going to be that person. Are they the qualified person? If they are, let's go.
Well, dude, prime example. People hate this guy, but Andy Elliott will not hire you if you are not in shape. Period. And he's sales. He's not even even in the fitness industry. If you don't work out, he will not work with you. Right. And people are like, well, that's discrimination. That's like, you can't do that. It's like, go ahead and go tell him that, because he doesn't give a shit either. Right. And he's super successful. Right. Regardless of what people say. And yeah, and you know what? I hate the word discrimination because, again, I go back to discrimination, judgment, discernment. It's all the same thing. All I'm saying is you don't fit the qualifications. I'll go back to the thing with the training and the face tattoos and all that stuff, right? If I have somebody who needs to present in front of people who are in a very professional industry, right? Do I think face tattoos are kind of cool? Sometimes, fuck yeah, right? Like, I see some people with face tattoos and I'm like, that's awesome, right? Total opposite side, right? Because I got tattoos. I love tattoos. But I have to be conscious of other people's judgments that I work with, or my clients, or the customers, or their discernments, or the discrimination, right? Like, I can't put somebody in front of somebody and say, hey, look, this is the person that you're going to be dealing with, knowing that they're not going to be comfortable with that. Right. And let's be real. This is the reality thing again. If I want a professional job, I bring a professional demeanor when I come in, right? If I'm going to work for a corporation, I'm going in for a presidential VP, some C-suite position, and I come in there, right, with tattoos all over my face, pants sagging, ripped shirt, stuff smudged all over my face, right? It doesn't matter what color I am. It doesn't matter what race I am, what gender I am. They're not going to give me the time of day. Period. Right. And that's where I'm talking about reality. It's not discernment, or it's not discrimination. It's discernment. And that's totally fine. The fact that we can't do that because it'll be called discrimination is where I call bull. But
I'll take that. And I agree with you 100%.
I've also seen The Pursuit of Happiness, so I totally get it.
Yeah. See, here's my play on this. Because this is what I do for a living. The goal is to get to the destination. The goal is to get to whatever it is that we want out of, in my case, these businesses that I work with. But in life, it's, again, I'll go back to the playbook. It's like, what is your purpose? What do you want to do? We're building a society right now where everyone is trying to look out for everyone else, where we forgot that what are you instilling in yourself to get to whatever it is that you want? What are you willing to do to get to your destination or your purpose or your goal? Are you allowing yourself to get sucked into the bullshit that society says you have to be, and you're oppressed, and you're this and you're that, and how dare they? Don't worry, we'll give you 6 steps up here because you were oppressed. We will hold these people away from you. Or like I've said with my all the people that I've worked with from different countries that come here, they don't see their skin color, they don't see their gender, they don't see their ethnic background or their religion. They see opportunity. It's not that they're oppressed or that they're the oppressor. They're saying, hold on a second, I can do whatever I want. Oh yeah, you can do whatever you want, but is all wrapped around a word that everyone forgets lately, is work. Get your shit done. I look at all this and say, everyone will say, oh, it's so easy for you to say you're a white male and you're this and you're that. Like, bullshit. No one knows. Yesterday I was up at 3:30 in the morning. Do I say this because I'm cool? No, because I got shit to do. So I'm up at 3:30. And when did I get home last night? 11:30. Why? Because I had shit to do for clients, for my own adventures, for my own stuff that I have going on, whether it's with my kids or whatever. But I did the work. Is it because I'm a white man? Fuck no. It's because I have shit to do and a purpose and a destination that I want to reach. So no one got in my way because I didn't see them as an oppressor. I saw them as an obstacle that said, if I can get past it, I'm that much further ahead. So, hey, it's an obstacle. It sucks. I wish the road was clear, but it's not. So I ran through them, over them, around them, or worked with them to figure out how to get to the destination. And I think that's where I look at DEI as a whole and say, we're going to give you lots of get out of jail free cards because we believe that you're oppressed, or we believe that you shouldn't have to work as hard as the people before you because it's been a struggle. And don't get me wrong, people have been oppressed. But like you started this entire conversation off in the beginning was, I thought we were getting out of this. Maybe I just live in a rose-colored,
maybe
window glass house that I think everything is hunky-dory, but I'm out in the world today and I don't see it. You want to talk about diversity? I work with them all, and some are unbelievable. Again, color, race, gender, doesn't matter, religion, that are freaking amazing. And then I have the same exact color, race, gender, religion that suck balls. And I think, okay, are you oppressed? No. You just fed into the bullshit that you're allowed to think like this.
That's for me it, right? I think all the topics that we talk about come back to the same thing. We're totally getting rid of standards. We're totally getting rid of all the things that make people want to strive to be the best of the best. Because you don't have to. Well, because everybody, the last generations had to suffer and work hard and all this stuff. You shouldn't have to anymore. We should just make it easy for everybody. Well, yeah, look at all the shit that got done over the last couple of generations, though. A lot of stuff. Look what's happening now. All we're doing is fighting with each other and bickering over stupid stuff. There's hardly any growth in anything, in any industry, right? There is. I'm not saying there's not. I'm just saying compared to those times where people had to bust their ass to get better,
right?
It's night and day, right? So why are we trying to get rid of all the things that make people want to work harder to get out of the situation that they're in? I think suffering and being put up against all these obstacles is one of the greatest gifts anybody can have.
Right.
Why are we trying to get rid of it? Obstacles are literally the way to success.
100%.
They are the way. If you come across a company, I said it earlier, if you come across a company that's not diverse and inclusive, make them want to be. Mm-hmm. Give them a reason.
Right.
Be the best. Go into that room with sagging pants and a ripped shirt and impress them because you worked so hard on the first thing that you were going to say that everybody turned their head and looked at you to give you the time.
Right.
Right? We're getting rid of all of that. There's no reason to get A's in school anymore because you have to be included in going to the next grade.
Yep.
There's no reason to work harder because, well, if you just show up every day and you fit one of these minorities, we're going to promote you eventually anyways. Doesn't really matter because we have to. That's the quota we have to meet.
Right.
We're getting rid of the obstacles, and I'm all for making life easier to a certain degree, but I think most of that is done by learning to be stronger. And it's bullshit that we're taking that away from the mass amounts of people that we are. And I don't like to say it like that, but all of these problems that we run into with these corporations and stuff with this stuff, like, would be an amazing opportunity for somebody to step up and be the greatest that they can possibly be.
Sure.
And now they don't have to.
Right. I think it comes down to this. If you're gay, be gay. Be as gay as you want to be gay. Don't care.
Hell yeah.
But we've blurred lines way too far where now your gayness has to be my acceptance, has to be my inclusion into what it is. If I have a job for you to do, I don't give a shit if you're gay. I don't give a shit what you do on the weekend. Don't care. I don't care if you get married and have kids. I want to see pictures. I will hope you invite me to the wedding. But if you're going to turn your gayness into my job at work and now I'm oppressing you because you're gay, I don't care. I'm oppressing you because you suck at your job. We'll just take that angle. Or I'm oppressing you because you're not nice to other people. You stir the pot, you're the poison. Your job is to walk through this facility and constantly make people feel like shit because they don't accept your openness and your gayness. This is a job where we have shit to get done. This is not your pulpit to stand on your box and preach. That's where I look at it. Like, there are tremendous opportunities that everyone has. And God, this is where I hang on all this. The DEI world it continues, and it's just going to get worse. I just see the way that the country's going, that it is all about making sure everyone feels like they fit in. And I call bullshit. You don't fit in. It's like you said, obstacles are phenomenal. You're a trainer. How do you make a muscle grow? Do you just sit on your ass and pray it works and have someone else lift the weight? No. You beat the tar out of the muscle. I mean, that's the funny part, is you tear a muscle apart to get it to grow. Scar tissue builds and the muscle gets stronger and now muscle cells, and there's the whole science behind it. But it doesn't happen unless you beat the shit out of it. And when I say beat the shit out of it, work it to exhaustion. If you just work it a little bit, it doesn't do anything. You can walk away and say, yeah, I had a good pump. No, you didn't. You did just enough to say I worked out today. And I think that's what happens in society and what happens with work now is we show up, we do enough, but you're not willing to work. So if you want to be shredded and ripped and feel good and everyone like, wow, you're looking great. More than likely you did the work. When you get on stage at the Olympia or the Arnold or anything, it's a whole spectrum of colors up there. There's white guys, there's black guys, there's Chinese guys, there's Puerto Rican guys, there's Polish, there's every freaking person in the world. But what do they have in common? They're all ripped and shredded. Why? Because they did the fucking work.
What?
And I think that's my holdup here is you can have DEI all day long. The same people are going to get ahead because they're going to look past it. They're
Absolutely,
not going to focus on it. And they're going to say, yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't care what color you are. I don't care whatever. I'm going to work with you or I'm not going to work with you because you will benefit me or you will not benefit me. And it has nothing to do with whether you wear a dress to work or you comb your hair to the left or the right. Don't care. Like, let's go. Let's kick some ass. We're going to do this together. I can talk about this for hours.
Absolutely. It's already been an hour. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. But yeah, so it always does. It comes back to the playbook, right? Yep. Is it working for you? How's that working out for you? If you feel like you're trapped in a position because of all these policies and stuff, maybe it's time to start questioning them, right? If you don't feel trapped by the policies, don't question them, right? We're not sitting here saying this is right, this is wrong. We have our own personal opinions and views and stuff like that, but it really does come down to what is going to work best for you and your company and your class and your team and all that stuff. But if you don't have a focus point, if you don't have a destination, if you don't have an outcome, if you don't have a result that you want, then you're going to get lost in all these words and pretty things and fitting in and making sure everybody's okay and all this stuff. And you're going to lose sight of everything else, right? So you got to make the decision what you want and how you're willing to get there, right?
That's it. I can still go on and on, but I'm not going to. So
we're not going
to. You get the point.
So with that said, make sure to subscribe, like, and make sure you click that notifications thing so that you can get notified when we come out with these new episodes. Guys, leave comments. Let us know what is going on in your head. I didn't mean to say just guys. I mean, I guess that could be
anybody. You're discriminating.
Anybody, really. Right? Oh my God.
Discriminator.
Canceled.
Racist. Sexist.
Anybody can leave comments. Anybody and everybody. We are open to hearing all of it. Let us know where you're at, what you're thinking, what you want us to talk about, what you want us to dive in deeper, all of that good
Just
stuff.
Not the people with the face piercing. You can't leave comments.
Just making it worse.
Yep.
All right. Take
Thanks,
care.
people. Peace
Bye.
out.